I want to welcome everybody to the Truth About DTF webinar. My name is Dave. I've been in the apparel decorating industry for about 14 years, and I'm very proud to be part of the team here at STAHLS because of my ability to help you out. My job is just probably one of the best jobs ever, right? I get to help decorators just like you out with solutions to decorate apparel easily, efficiently, and profitable. I learned how to decorate apparel with the old-fashioned way with a screen and a squeegee and some emulsion and a whole bunch of ink. It took me about 3 weeks to learn how to screen print on my kitchen table in an apartment, and a ton of mess. I wish I knew about heat printing back then because as soon as the first time I pulled a screen printed transfer, I was like, my entire life is a lie. But now there's even more technology out there, and that is the brand new direct-to-film transfers. Well, maybe not brand new. They've been around for a couple years now, widely available commercially. However, in terms of the decorated apparel industry as a whole, they are very new to the industry, and they're great. They look absolutely fantastic, and they offer a ton of versatility that we'll get into here in just a little bit. I do want to mention that this will be recorded, so you could always watch it later. We'll send out the replay, but you miss a lot of the interactivity. If you are watching the replay of this and you still have questions, feel free to let us know because we will absolutely answer them. We always love to keep the conversation going, but being here live is a great way to just ask the questions as they come to the top of your head, and we will absolutely get you an answer. And then if we don't get to your question, we actually download the chat and go through all of it, and we'll email you the answer. We don't want to leave you high and dry, right? We want you to be a successful decorator in any way we can help out, and whatever success looks like for you. Understandably, a lot of us may just be starting out or be established decorators looking to learn a little bit more about direct-to-film. So this is the place, and I'm very, very happy you're here, and I'm very excited to dive into it. So let's dive into it in here. But ask those questions. Don't be shy. We are always happy to help. Everybody at STAHLS and Transfer Express is on your side. So agenda today. If you are just getting into the industry, we're going to talk about what is DTF, right? Kind of how it varies from different transfer types. And we'll even cover when to use DTF. So while it is an incredibly versatile heat transfer that looks, stretches, and rebounds and feels fantastic, applying to a whole bunch of different materials, you're like, wow, that is a fantastic heat transfer used for everything, which it is in certain scenarios. Otherwise, you may be leaving money on the table, depending on some specifics with your artwork or the quantities or even the fabric type that you're printing on, right? So we'll talk about what it is, when to use it. We'll talk about how much it costs and some really helpful tools that'll help you price out jobs to give accurate quotes. Because, of course, being an apparel decorator and starting a t-shirt business, profit is something we always want to be able to keep in mind because you want to ensure that you're not quoting your customers too low. And then at the end of the day, when you actually run the numbers on the job, you're like, man, I actually lost money on that. I want you to make money, right? And I want your time, your time to be paid for. Your time is valuable. And so we want to make sure that you're using your time effectively and getting paid for it. And direct-to-film definitely helps pack in the profit when used properly, right? So we'll cover that here today. We're going to talk about artwork. So there's some artwork requirements, and we'll even talk about creating artwork for direct-to-film as well. It is a slightly different process than, say, screen printing or like printing stickers or anything like that, but it is much closer to being it's much more versatile, right? It doesn't have to be set up in spot colors like we are for screen printing. You don't have to do any fancy artwork prep, just 300 DPI. But we'll get into a little bit more of that in just a little bit. We'll talk about how fast you could get it, right? Because there are a lot of decorators that I've talked to in the past couple of years that are like, well, I want to produce fast. I'm going to go buy my own direct-to-film printer. And I want to caution you, there are plenty of decorators that might make sense for, right? But for the vast majority of decorators out there, purchasing equipment only is going to set you in a hole with that investment that now you're trying to dig yourself out of. Very similar to what we saw with direct-to-garment, which is essentially another digital printing technique, but instead of printing on a transfer carrier that you're going to transfer, it prints directly onto the fibers of a t-shirt. Those printers being incredibly expensive, many decorators never made back their investment. And I'm going to show you how you could get the same exact quality or even better than you would be able to produce with a printer of your own without the fumes or the climate controlled environment or the supply chain of all these different inks and materials, the carriers, the adhesives, all this stuff that you would have to manage. No, simplify. Focus on selling apparel, focus on decorating apparel, and being profitable, right? I don't want to dig you in a hole. I want you to make money here. So we'll talk about some things with that. And then we'll also talk about application, how you could apply efficiently and really utilize your time wisely in a production environment, or even if you're just a home business, right? At a heat press, being effective with your time is going to help you be more profitable in the long run. So I want to set you up for success here today. And so let's dive right on into it. Daniel says, what is the event in Chicago? So Decorated Apparel Expo, along with all of the other trade shows that we attend as STAHLS or Transfer Express, the Decorated Apparel Expo is one of the ones that we hit every single year. And you'll find us at every single one of those shows across the country. There's already been a couple already this year. And I think Chicago may be the second to last or one of the last ones, but there's also the Graphics Pro Expo and the Impressions Expos out there. Mike might be able to throw a link into the chat section right here about all of the events that we're attending. And so you could see the entire lineup, plan for it, even out as far as October, I think is where our last show is of the year in Fort Worth at the Impressions Expo, one of my favorite shows to attend every year, and a lot of good education as part of that show too. So all of these trade shows have education tied to them, very similar to this webinar, but live and in person. So you could get hands-on, ask those in-depth questions, and really have a conversation about what is going to help your business the most, because that's what we're here for, right? Perfect. Just going through the chat to make sure we don't have any more questions. Perfect. Let's roll right into it then, right? Let's get right on into it. So before I cover exactly what DTF is, right? Of course, it's a direct to film transfer. The stuff that we're going to cover here in today, I just want you to keep in mind a few key things, and I'll try to point them out when we get to them, but there's a lot of information, and I don't want to keep you here all afternoon. Your time is valuable, right? So I do want you to just keep in mind ways that we're going to show you here to save money, right? And be more efficient with your production. So saving money in material cost, as well as saving money with your time. You should have a pay rate essentially that you're paying yourself. That's going to ensure that you're making profit on jobs. And then in the future, if you ever do need to hire employees, you already have that kind of payroll structure built in because you've been paying yourself and making money, right? So, but what we don't want to sacrifice on quality either. So we'll talk about quality a little bit later in the webinar and some quality differences that we've seen with direct to film transfers out on the market and how you could try to avoid those. We'll also talk about artwork because with all types of printing, and t-shirts are no different, right? You need quality artwork. And to be frank, a lot of us aren't necessarily the best designers. We're not pros in Photoshop or Illustrator. Of course, I went to design school and I'm still paying the student loans for graphic design. But I know a few tricks that I could show you that you could design online for free. No need to have super powered computers or the latest MacBook or a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud or buy any expensive programs. You could design t-shirts and mock them up online for free, and I'll show you here in just a little bit. That's available on both STAHLS and TransferExpress.com. And then we're also going to talk about the different products that you could decorate to. That's really what direct-to-film is good for, all of the different products, and be able to turn quickly, which I kind of was getting into with that conversation about, like, I should buy a printer. But then if you look at your standard turn times, like, what are you typically producing t-shirts in? 1 to 3 days? 4 days, 5 days. I think the industry average is like 7 to 10 business days for decorated apparel on the low end. Sometimes that even goes like 2 weeks or more. So do you really need to produce it now? And is that investment worth it for you that you're going to be digging yourself out of and then having to build quantity behind it to pay it off? So it could be a slippery slope. Get started right here today. All you need is a heat press. So we'll cover that. But a direct-to-film transfer is a direct-to-film heat transfer. So essentially, it is a digital print, CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, or also known as black. And so it's 4 ink colors that essentially are printed in tiny, tiny little dots to make up almost any color in the rainbow, printed onto a heat-sensitive film. The film is like a plastic carrier. I have... I have a direct-to-film print right here. So in my little window, you can see that it does have white on the back. And then our CMYK inks, our digital print, is right here on the front. So we could get any color. And then with the white backing behind it, so white prints behind everything and gets an adhesive powder that can apply to almost any fabric. And because it has that white backer, these colors are nice and vibrant and opaque on any color of garment. So you don't have to worry about colors looking dull or like sublimation, right? You could get these great full color prints, but you need to only print on light polyester garments and polyester dominant. So like 60% is usually the rule of thumb, sometimes 50%, right? So like 50 or 60% are higher polyester and only on light colors. If you try to put that graphic on a dark gray or a maroon, there is no white, right? So with direct to film, you do have the ability to print white in any color, right? So you're not stuck by standard stock colors or have to pay for any custom matching with colors to get that yellow that you need, right? You'll find that there are tons of colors that you could use, and even in the designer, you could recolor artwork as well. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. So it does apply, and we say it does apply to a lot of different fabrics, almost any fabric. However, we have been able to achieve over 50 wash cycles, which is the industry standard in the apparel decorating industry for the lifetime of a garment. So after about 50 washes, you start to see holes in it, and the fabric starts wearing away. So in many cases, these direct-to-film prints will outlive the garment while still looking absolutely fantastic on whatever fabric it may be. So it'll apply to cotton, polyester, cotton poly blends, tri-blends, right? Even lycra and spandex. We have tested, stretched, right? Incredible stretch and rebound on this digital transfer. And yeah, we've even had success on can coolers. So neoprene, very, very common. Some of them are polyester foam, but even the neoprene ones, it decorates on awesome. And it feels like it's not even there. It's not a thick, heavy print, right? It's nice and smooth, pliable, and really kind of just, it really, really makes stuff like those neoprene can coolers pop. And it's really inexpensive to print too. So you could really use those as add-ons, right? For sales that don't really cost you much to produce. And then the benefit to the end of the day, the benefit when you deliver it to your end customer, they absolutely are floored with those extras, and those little unexpected things could really help you set your business out with a lot of competition out there in the decorating world, right? I've printed on leather. We see a lot of people using them to print on leather patches. So they'll cut a square of leather or buy the pre-adhesive, and then they'll just put a decoration on the leather. We've put them on cork, so little coasters and stuff like that. Even like some holiday decorations when you're doing those like personalized gifts sometimes for the holidays. The wood, the cork, and there's even been some examples of people making like trophies on really nice finished pieces of wood with direct to film as well. So the main thing is just being able to get smooth, flat, even, consistent pressure. If you just joined us for our toast to transfers from our Transfer Express division just a couple weeks ago, we put UltraColor Max on a fanny pack. So like a belt bag, things that a lot of decorators typically shy away from are all completely unlocked with, number one, a heat press, right? If you could get it under the heat press, you could print it. And then as well as those different fabrics and materials that direct to film could print on. I think that was a 100% polyester, so nothing too crazy, but a really, really cool thing. So a great question that just came in is a black backer available? So dye blocking backing has been, let's say it's in the works, right? And so a lot of people have been playing around with being able to mitigate that dye migration. I have not seen, nor any of the transfers that are widely available on the market right now, actually block dye migration. So there are some companies out there that I've seen that are like, it blocks dye migration. It applies to everything. And while it may apply to almost every fabric type, it may not wash well, right? And of course, it does not block dye migration. So if you have a sublimated garment, like a sublimated soccer jersey, right, that you're going to be printing on, and there's a texture in it, a lot of those digi camos are still really popular, and those are sublimated polyester jerseys. If you put white letters in DTF over that, you're going to see that pattern start to show through that white ink. And it's just because the dyes, with time or heat, will start to move. So even in like sunlight, sometimes it happens where the dyes from the fabric itself will kind of leach or seep into the print, the inks, especially like with whites, right? So that is coming, not available yet. And Doug, with another great question in there, or I guess a statement, would love a DTF that doesn't have a plastic feel. I'm going to show you some tips on how you could really reduce that plastic feel. Now, of course, using the right DTF transfer really makes a huge difference. And when we get into the quality issues, I'll talk about it a little bit more, but we have a whole lineup of DTF transfers that we ordered from everybody under the sun, pretty much anywhere where you could get DTF transfers. And there definitely are some that feel, I don't even want to say thick, they feel like paper. Like you just kind of glued a sheet of paper to a garment, which doesn't breathe, it doesn't move. And I always go for the crinkle test. So like you take it and you kind of rub it against itself. And if you could hear the print, well, it's either not following some of the techniques that I could show you, or it is not a quality DTF print. So I know here at STAHLS and Transfer Express, we spent so much time in research, and I'm actually real good friends with our research and development department and Mike over there, who really, he gets way into the science. And every time I ask a direct to film question, half the stuff goes right over my head is how deep he knows his digital printing inks and printing processes. But we've really worked to use the right inks and the compatible carriers that give and the pigmented inks, right? So it's all in the cost of materials. And this is stuff that if you're printing your own DTF, you're probably like, oh man, I didn't even consider this stuff, right? Because it is the pigment density of the ink, so you don't have to put down as much ink, right? It is how much white are you actually putting behind it? And so is it really truly opaque? What kind of carriers are you using? There's a whole bunch of different variables that really affect the hand feel, the washability, and that finished look of DTF transfers. But more on that here in just a little bit. So that's kind of like what DTF is, essentially in a nutshell. And direct to film here at STAHLS and Transfer Express, of course, is called UltraColor Max. So I'll be using those two kind of interchangeably as we talk about different products. But yes, UltraColor Max is the STAHLS and Transfer Express brand of direct to film transfers. It was one of the first out on the market, commercially available, at least, that you could order custom transfers. About 3 years ago now, I think we launched, or coming up on 3 years, maybe in the fall. So that would have been, 2021. But when it hit, I mean, it is really, really cool because it really takes the hybrid technology that we used to have, which is a digital print with a screen printed adhesive behind it, and really takes it to be much more economical at smaller scale, and gives you a little bit more flexibility with some of those different transfer types. Now, of course, with hybrid transfers, you could print on everything that UltraColor Max could print on, but there's different adhesives built for different products and substrates that you'll be printing on. So these are all examples of UltraColor Max that we've printed, from spandex leggings to a very thick cotton duck canvas tote bag, and even just regular 100% cotton or 50-50 t-shirts. I use it all the time for printing and samples and demos, and I love just the versatility that the product has, and really the quality too. After trying a lot of different direct-to-film transfers, the quality with UltraColor Max is definitely something that that makes a big difference, right? Allison asks about coffee mugs. We do have some pressure sensitive products. So like when I decorate on hard goods, a lot of times I'll use any flex style emblems or the dimensional emblems and patches from STAHLS that you could get with a pressure sensitive adhesive. So that's just essentially like a sticker, you push it on there and it sticks. And I will say on hard goods, I have a flex style circle. It's probably about 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches on a Yeti mug. So a big Yeti mug that has been submerged in water and in backpacks and in the dishwasher for probably about 2 years now, and shows no sign of falling off. I have a young daughter, and it was her favorite cup to take into the bath to pour water out in. So literally it would sit soaking in there, and all of those flex style emblems and stuff, the pressure sensitive ones are absolutely, they're on there for, they're permanent. Of course, you could also get from Transfer Express the CAD Cut sticker line. So if you go to full color in the the options for ordering, you could pick the window decals, which have a mask on the front end of them, or even a just all-purpose decal that you could put on coffee mugs. That makes it, they are dishwasher safe. I could attest to that. Even on the back bumper of cars, they're highly resistant to fading. But I wouldn't necessarily use DTF on a ceramic mug. A lot of times you'll find sublimation is one of the better ways for that. And you could order those through the custom transfers on STAHLS.com as well. Nanny says, could you press on string backpacks? Of course you can. So whether the nylon ones, you may have to watch out for. The UltraColor Max will stick to nylon, but we just haven't fully tested the wash testing to ensure that's going to stick on there. Of course, with nylon being such a, I don't want to say difficult, a unique synthetic material, that the bonding, so the actual coatings on the fibers, do vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. And there are a lot of different types of nylon out there. So some of them print well, some of them don't. Some of them have waterproof coatings. But I will say, those string backpacks, like the cinch sacks that some people call them, the ones that we've printed on 100% polyester from Transfer Express apparel or STAHLS apparel or Sanmar or SNS, print absolutely beautifully. So we might even have an example of one here a little bit later in the presentation here. Let's see. Nilda has a good question. I have customers who ask me, what is DTF made from? My answer is ink. Is that accurate? It absolutely is ink, right? And I believe it is a water-based ink. The adhesive is TPU-based, so it is kind of like a plastic polymer adhesive powder on it. But it is ink, is what it is. So what you see on the print is ink. So yes, it is ink. What kind of ink is used? There are a lot of different DTF inks out there, but typically it's CMYK, and sometimes you'll even see expanded color gamuts on that too. So you'll have like light yellow, light magenta, light cyan that give you a little bit more range. So you're not stuck to just CMYK values. We could produce a little bit outside of it. I wouldn't say all of the RGB color values, but definitely if you have ordered UltraColor Max from us before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with those nice, bright, vibrant colors on it. And if you haven't, if you never tried a direct film transfer, Mike, see if you could throw a link over in the chat section. I guess the chat will be right there. But maybe Mike will be able to throw a link in there. I know he'll find one so that you could order free samples, right? And get a whole pack of transfers that you could use, you could apply, and see the difference for yourself, which is great. Let's see. I just want to make sure we got any more before we start going. You guys in the chat are Mike's keeping up. All right, good. Anyone know of a place to get affordable shirts, hats, sweatshirts, etc.? I'm looking for high quality clothing for my first try at DTF. Great question, Jesse. So at transferexpress.com, you could go to the wholesale apparel section, and you don't need a business license or a tax ID to get those wholesale rates. So you can do the same thing at stahls.com. In that wholesale apparel section, find the styles that you want, and you'll see they are at discounted rates over like if you just go to a local hobby or craft store, because those are typically marked up because they've been shipped to the location. You could buy one piece, and of course you could buy just one piece, but there are quantity break discounts then too. If you're ordering 12 or 36 of the same style, you'll definitely get a lower price. Now, of course, if you have a tax ID or a business license, getting set up with somebody like Sanmar or SNS Apparel or SNS Activewear is going to be a better bet. For you to get those real steep industry discounts that are going to really maximize your profit margin too. So we want to make it accessible for you here at Transfer Express and STAHLS to be able to purchase blank apparel without really breaking the bank. But if you do have a tax ID, there are other options on there. Let's see. Sue says we have issues of polyester shirts with seeing the outline of the press. That could be a few different issues, and possibly not using a low enough heat transfer. So the application temperature is usually the first one. So just real quick, I don't want to get too off topic here, but as we talk about some of these different transfers on this what to use when guide that we see, there is essentially 4 steps that you could go through for heat sensitivity. And so number 1 is accurate pressure. So you may just have your pressure setting up way too high. I like quality heat presses that at least show you a digital readout of what your pressure's at, so you're not guessing. So that's kind of the first step, is that accurate pressure. A medium pressure, especially on a heat sensitive garment, is definitely going to be what you're wanting to aim for, especially with like a direct to film transfer that does apply at a 4 to 6 pressure rating in that medium range, right? So you may be overpressuring it, and that's what's causing those outlines on there. I have seen firsthand and heard from just a couple decorators a couple weeks ago in Atlantic City at the Impressions Expo that, yeah, we're getting a lot of lines and it's always on the outside. Doesn't matter if it's a cotton shirt or a polyester shirt, and it's actually their heat press. So they have their pressure down so that the middle of the shirt is applied, but the heat press heating element is actually slightly concave. So where the pressure is coming down at the edges is much higher than what it's touching, where it could properly apply the transfer in the middle of the garment. So ensuring a quality heat press is kind of paramount to heat transfer application. So accurate pressure. Second step with reducing those platinum marks on heat-sensitive materials is a reduced heat transfer. So UltraColor Max applies at 290 degrees, which is under that scorchability, that heat-sensitive threshold of 300 degrees Fahrenheit for many, many polyester garments. Some polyesters you could even apply at 365, 370, but some of those different colorways, depending on the dyes in the ink, it's more prevalent on some than others, or dyes in the fabric, like the maroons or navies, black polyester shirts, the performance wear from Nike or Sport Tech. You know what I mean, right? That those things, you just look at them wrong and they scorch. So using a heat transfer with a reduced heat. Now, of course, at Transfer Express and STAHLS, we have a heat transfer that there are the CAD prints options that go as low as 250 degrees. So you can really get under that threshold there. So things to keep in mind. So you have your accurate pressure, reduced heat transfer, correct cover sheet. So you could experiment with different cover sheets. We don't really recommend cover sheets for UltraColor Max, but masking certain areas with a cover sheet around the edges could help, as long as it's not affecting, again, the pressure of your heat press. And then, of course, the last step is introducing a lower heat in platen. So essentially, you're heating from the inside of the garment. So if any discoloration or sheen to the material happens, it's not happening on the outside of the garment. So those are some steps. We have some great videos over on our YouTube page that dive into that super, super in depth. Let's see. All right, I'm going to jump back into it and talk about what to use when. I just realized I was kind of scrolled up in the chat a little bit. So everybody is in here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's see. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here in the chat before I move on. I did have to scroll pretty fast, so I apologize, guys. We will get your questions answered, or Mike behind the scenes will be answering your questions as well. So direct to film, absolutely phenomenal, like I mentioned earlier, for low quantities, and that is just one. So say screen printed transfers or those hybrid transfers that I mentioned that combine screen printing and digital printing all into one. Those do have minimum quantities. So those are a minimum of just 6 sheets available from our Transfer Express division. Of course, you could order the CAD cut products, so the HTV, right, in very low quantities. Or if you have a craft cutter yourself, or a Roland or a Graph Tech, one of those plotter cutters that really get the job done for cutting heat transfer vinyl or other materials, that those are kind of available for minimum quantities too, in that just like one, right? So realistically, you could do single color images or full color images. There's no weeding involved like with heat transfer vinyl, and you get transfers that essentially come ready to apply. They may arrive on a roll that you do have to cut them out of, but it is like cutting wrapping paper, super easy, super quick. And because we're all friends here, there may be a service coming soon. And that's gonna reduce that even more for you, right? So you could do, realistically, this chart here is our what to use when guide, and it is available as a downloadable PDF that I'll see if Mike could throw into the chat as well. Or if you just go to Transfer Express or STAHLS, type in the search bar what to use when, you'll find this PDF pop up. So essentially you have your apparel quantity along the top, and then you have your, on the side, the colors in your artwork. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4 plus down the side, and that is the colors in your artwork. So say I have a one color print in 48 quantity, it's going to be the most cost effective. That's where these lines are drawn, the cost effective. It's going to be the most cost effective to print this with a screen printed transfer, because we get the bulk quantity runs, right? You get the bulk quantity discounts, and you could be much less than what it would cost with a direct to film transfer. Now, direct to film, There are some brand new quantity breaks in there too, but for the most part, it could end up being a little bit more expensive. Now, in the lower quantities or one-offs, samples, if you're heat printing on demand, right? You're running an online store, ordering a transfer when the job comes in and when the apparel is purchased, and printing it and then shipping it out to your customer, direct to film is absolutely perfect for it, right? Especially if you're doing like, you put 6 or 7 different pieces of artwork in all at the same time. They all arrive, right? So it is really, really great to be able to utilize it for selling online and stuff like that. So you'll see that green area is our UltraColor Max DTF. So if we needed something with 4 colors and 6 or less of them, direct to film is absolutely the way to go. Of course, even if we needed just 1 color, where that like CAD cut, that darker green circle square is, rectangle at the top of the chart, if we just needed one in 1 color, we absolutely could do that with direct to film too. Or if we needed one in a photograph, you could absolutely do it. Full color for like 2 or more spot colors on it. So if it isn't like there's no gradients or photographs, it's just 2 clear cut different colors on your graphic. Very similar to my example that I had here. Now this is more than just 2 colors. So we have black, and say if it was just black and yellow instead of all of these different shades of orange and red on there and green. So if it was just black and yellow in 24 quantity or more, it may be cheaper to move to the screen printed transfers. Or if we have photographs, right, and we need 100 of them, most likely the hybrid transfers are going to be the most cost-effective option to you. Now, there is one caveat to this chart, and that is your image size. So this is all based off of the standard 11 by 11 center chest or full front graphic, whatever you want to call it, right? That you do have the scalability of price, because direct to film is priced per square inch. So if you had just a 1 inch by 1 inch graphic, it's 6 cents. That's it, right? And so there's no minimums at Transfer Express or STAHLS. There are other distributors out there that will say like, oh yeah, it's as low as 1 cent, right? It doesn't matter. You could order 1 piece, but they set a minimum charge to $1.99 on that. So like, even if your graphic is just 1 inch by 1 inch, you're paying $1.99 for it, which is like, that's almost what an entire sheet of screen printed transfers cost at like 30 quantity, right? So like, you could get just one, 6 cents. You do have to pay for shipping on that. So I don't want to mislead you on that. So there is a shipping cost associated with it as well. But there is no minimum. But with that little, 1 inch by 1 inch graphic that you're getting for 6 cents a square inch, that kind of moves the goalpost here a little bit, because at 6 cents a square inch, you're going to need to order a lot of screen printed or hybrid transfers that are going to meet that same minimum, right? So definitely something, or that same cost, that same 6 cents a square inch cost. So definitely something to keep in mind. So you can design with gradients. You cannot design with fades to the garment. So there are some people using some techniques to achieve a similar look, but you can't fade to the garment. So you could fade and have gradients within artwork, but all of your edges have to be hard edges. And of course, like we talked about, the heat sensitive fabrics, applying under 290 degrees. So you'll see this on this what to use when chart if you downloaded the PDF, which I do see Mike put in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, we'll put it in the description down below. But essentially, if you have this chart, it's going to be really great for you just to be able to look and see, for the most part, what's going to be the best. I'll show you some ways that we could price things out and look at, when we're ordering transfers, to see what's going to be the best for us to use. But that's when to use DTF. So it is very often that you'll find that DTF is going to be the transfer type that you need, but especially in like higher quantities and simpler artwork, screen printed transfer is going to give you a much lower cost, and lower cost to you means higher profit margin, right? I want you to make money. So when we talk about cost, there are 2 ways to order UltraColor Max direct to film transfers. There's a few different ways, but there's 2 main ways, from STAHLS and from Transfer Express. So available from both of the custom transfer divisions here in the United States, from STAHLS, of course. But you have essentially a set price at the absolute highest cost per square inch at 6 cents a square inch, which is secretly, I think, kind of crazy that you could order transfers for just 6 cents a square inch. When I started even screen printing or even ordering like vinyl transfers or pricing out heat transfer vinyl to cut on a Cricut, a Silhouette, a Roland, a Graphtec is not 6 cents a square inch. It's more than that. So incredibly cost effective for you and profitable. But you could see that there are quantity breaks now as of just a couple weeks ago where you could start to get some seriously deep discounts with the more quantities you order. Now, of course, with STAHLS, it has to be the same image that you're ordering quantity of, but you could get as low as 4 cents a square inch, which is absolutely incredible, right? So this is individual images. And it does have a price break at each one of these tiers. So if you order 24, it might actually be more cost effective to order 25, get that quantity break, and be able to save a little in the long run and have some extra transfers on hand to test some stuff. Or if you're like me, in the course of my decorating career, more times than I would like to admit, people come back and go, man, we had one guy who forgot to tell us he wanted one of these, or we have a new member to the club who just came in late. Is there any way you could produce us just one more? Now, of course, direct-to-film allows you to do that at any time, but having a transfer already on hand that you charged your customer for because you rolled it into the cost of the t-shirt is now free. And you can say, well, just because it's one and it's not the full run, I have to charge a different price. And in most cases, they're like, that's no problem at all. We'll just tell them to get it with the program next time and pay the extra $5. And that is profit 100% in your pocket, right? So some good strategies that you could use direct to film here for. And of course, free shipping on orders of $149 or more. So I saw in the chat, like, it is great, right? So it's absolutely fantastic for low quantities, but the shipping gets a little stiff. But yes, any order of UltraColor Max totaling over $149 is going to ship for free. So if you have a whole bunch of different logos, some little quantities here or there, if you could get over that $149, they do ship free to you. So this is from STAHLS.com, right? So everything we just talked about here, this price by quantity, STAHLS.com. And you could also order from Transfer Express. So you see the pricing set up a little bit differently, and these are also available by the image, right? So you could order by the image just the same as we were just talking about, or even build just a small little gang sheet if you don't want to fill up one of the small sheets or even the large sheets. Because even though it's a small gang sheet, it's 12 inches by 22 inches, which is, well, actually quite large. And then 24 by 22 inches is absolutely astronomically large. You could fit so much artwork on there. We were just playing around with it yesterday. I was able to fit 4 full big center chest, full front prints, along with some left chests and inside tag prints, because I tucked them up into the negative space and got a whole bunch of stuff printed for free because it was cheaper than actually just the price at 6 cents a square inch if I was ordering just straight, not gang sheets. So here you do get price breaks with the gang sheets. So there's 2 gang sheet sizes you'll find on transferexpress.com in the EasyView Online Designer that even if you're just ordering one quantity, right? So you're ordering one of these small gang sheets, it's already priced at 5.5 cents. So you're already saving a half of a cent just by going to a gang sheet, right? So pack all of the artwork on that page that you can to really maximize your cost. But you can see that just at 25 quantity of these gang sheets, you are now at 4 cents per square inch, right? So a really low bar to get on that, but you have to gang sheet your artwork and group it all together, whether it's the same image, but it's really, really great for those different images, right? Because now you're really reducing your cost. While maybe you just need 25 of one image and you need 50 of another, well, you could fit 2 up of the 50 that you need and only 1 of the 25. Put some promotional printing, or those customers that you really are trying to land, like the big company right down the street or in the same neighborhood, maybe school districts or whatever, your prospective customers, you could put their artwork on the sheet that you're getting for free, right? And now you have samples that you could show up and be like, hey, I made this trucker hat for you guys. And if their current printer's not doing it, oh man, these look cool. And typically, I've found in my history in the decorating industry, marketing and selling custom printed apparel, is that if you go to the one example that I know is like a landscaper, right? Send him a hat. Dude put the hat on. He was the boss. So every one of his crew, all the employees saw the hat and were like, dude, are you buying those for us? And it only took about a week of his employees saying, I want one of those hats, that he placed an order for him, right? So samples sell. And that is really great use of that extra space on the gang sheet when you're like, man, I don't want to sell myself short here. I got extra space. I should use it. Put those samples on there because they are going to make a huge difference when you're trying to land those different customers, right? So that's what you could use these gang sheets for. And of course, at lower quantities, it's really great here. So you still could totally order single images if you want. That's 6 cents a square inch. And that is any size on Transfer Express or STAHLS from 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So a tiny little print here, all the way up to 22 by 22 inches, which is that's oversized, right? Well, which we do see a lot of oversized printing now, but a full 22 by 22 inch sheet at the 6 cents a square inch pricing is $29.08, right? But the large gang sheet at just one quantity is $29 flat, and it actually gives you 44 more square inches because it's giving you 2 inches along 22 inches because the size is now 24 by 22 inches. So you're getting 44 square inches for less than you would be paying with just a standard 22 by 20 inch or 22 by 22 inch priced by the square inch. If you're following along, I could show you that in the EasyView Online Designer here in just a second when we jump in there to show you. So I just want to check the chat here real quick and make sure that I'm not missing anything important or some big questions. Another question about, will DTF ever get a blocker? Emma, someday, soon. Great one there. Let's see. I saw Katie asked a question everybody's asking about. Can you provide an example of a white logo that gradients onto a black garment? I have some really great examples of that. Essentially, it's using halftones that just meet the minimums. I don't know if I have one here that I could grab. I have a lot of them in the wash right now, wash testing to that 50 wash dry cycles because I push the limits, right? I like to use all of the resources we have here at STAHLS and Transfer Express for your benefit because I want to help you out. As a small-time decorator, I understand how hard it is to test that stuff and the time investment and even the financial investment into creating samples that you feel confident in. So if I could do anything to help you out, I always like to do that. So maybe we'll show, maybe I'll show you something here if we have time at the end, if you stick around. But that's a great question, Katie. Let's see here. Nicole asked, what's the difference between UltraColor Pro and UltraColor Max, which is a great question, Nicole. So UltraColor Max is the direct-to-film print. UltraColor Pro is our hybrid print. So while it is a digital transfer, it does have a screen printed adhesive. So it gets the same quantity breaks that you see with screen printing. The higher the quantity, the steeper the discounts get. It's not just a couple cents here. It is dollars or half the cost, right? So it's really built for the higher quantity runs of full color artwork. Now it is a hot peel. So the application is very, very similar at 290 degrees and a nice hot peel single step application, but not well suited for lower quantities. While the sheet minimum for UltraColor Pro is 6 and not the minimum that we have here with Max, it really isn't cost effective to produce at that quantity, which is why you see that what to use when chart kind of put it towards the high quantity, high color count jobs. Now, of course, if you are printing on nylon, there is UltraColor Stretch, or if you're printing on sublimated material, there's UltraColor Stretch with blocker that does have that dye blocker on it. And if you're in 18, 36, 48 quantity, say decorating for one of those teams or leagues, that it is really cost effective to use that product then. But if you need something specialized to block dye, your customers most of the time will understand that you need to pay a little bit more for those dye blocking transfers. Tim asked, do you guys ever think this will be on rolls? So the gang sheets do utilize the rolls, and if you've ever ordered a large quantity of transfers, they do come on a roll just ready to be cut out. They'll come in a tube. Let's see. If we order 250 UltraColor Max in the same logo, will you cut the images instead of full sheets where we cut? So David, that's a good question. And coming soon, yes. But you didn't hear that from me, okay? Don't tell anybody on the replay or anything. Edit this out in the YouTube. I'm kidding. Let's see. Robin asks, why can you order the same product from both STAHLS and Transfer Express? Just because some customers prefer to order from STAHLS and some decorators prefer to order from Transfer Express. We just want it to be available for wherever you are. There are a little bit different shipping policies. So Just to break that down real quick, you get a little bit more shipping options on STAHLS.com. However, you get $15 flat rate 2-day anywhere in the United States from Transfer Express. So if you need it fast, it could be more economical than paying overnight shipping to get that $15 2-day anywhere in the United States. A lot of areas are 1-day too, because you'll see that we are decorating, or we're printing and shipping UltraColor Max from a lot of different facilities across the United States to really reduce those transit times and get it to you quick, right? Just want to make sure that that's a great question. But yes, there are a few different shipping differences between STAHLS and Transfer Express. If all prints just black, can I use DTF? Sorry, I missed if you say, yeah, if you just use one color, if it's black ink or just white ink in a low quantity, DTF all day. Jay asked, should you create art in CMYK or RGB? With a brand new color workflow that we put out there, and especially ordering through the online designer, RGB files print perfect, right? So the new color workflow really looks at those RGB colors and tries to rip them to print, essentially to be the most accurate, but because all screens are different, there's always going to be a variance from what you see on screen versus what the printed result actually is, unless you have a super high quality color calibrated monitor, which are very, very expensive. And I, even as a designer, have never necessarily found the need for one. A Pantone book or a swatch book is typically all you need on that. But you could do both. You could do both on that one. CMYK for print is definitely preferred. That you're not going to have any of those huge shifts when you print that sometimes you do in RGB. There's a video on our Transfer Express YouTube page that gets super in-depth about the difference of color gamuts between RGB and CMYK spaces. The short version is your eyes could see a lot more colors than what ink could reproduce, right? So if you get down to the science of it, your eyes perceive color as light. Even if it is ink on a page, it's the light reflecting off of it. So I did not go to school for art and science or mathematics, or science and mathematics. I went for art, so I might not be the best to do that. But I know that that it is it's a hotly debated topic. But with Transfer Express or STAHLS, upload whatever you got. CMYK is going to get you the least amount of shifting, but you may be limited on some of those like just really super vibrant colors. But depending on how far out of the color gamut you are, and I'm probably talking in way too designerly lingo, technical speak, but you could see a color shift on there. So let's see. Yeah, CMYK is safe to update to the site. So yeah, let's keep going here. We talked about cost. So let's get into definitely creating your artwork, right? So we already kind of touched on artwork a little bit, talking about RGB and CMYK in here. So we'll want to ensure that you're producing good artwork. So now, of course, with direct-to-film, all printing starts with good artwork. So just real quick off the bat, 300 DPI is going to be the resolution of what you're aiming for at size. So if you have raster artwork, photographs, or things that you're taking from the internet, you're going to want to upscale those, because anything on the internet, typically you'll see at 72 DPI, which is under what you want to be printing. It's going to look blocky, pixelated, and just not high quality when printed onto a t-shirt. So ensure you're printing at 300 DPI. You can go as low as 150 DPI, but again, you're not going to have that ideal quality that you're going to want, or possibly your customers are going to want. But I'll show you how to get around that here in just a minute. Now, of course, there are minimums that you have to adhere to as well. So with UltraColor Max, the only minimum is that your line weight, so your smallest dots or your smallest lines on your artwork, is 0.46 millimeters. So half of a millimeter, right? Or 0.018 inches. So that is super, super fine, or about 1 point. I think if you are making like a line in Illustrator or Photoshop, 1.300 DPI art space is going to give you that that minimum of what you could do. So you could do very, very fine detail. And essentially that's just because on the back of the print, right, with my print here, we want to ensure that everything gets white printed behind it. So you might notice there's really not too much here. So like this little fine line gets pretty tiny, but we're still able to fit white behind it. I don't see anything here that wasn't meeting minimum specs. So that's a great example to show you what you should be doing and why it's important. Because while DTF is going to apply regardless if it has that white adhesive behind it or not, it's lasting on the garment. So if something tiny text doesn't get above those minimums, it's still going to print. When you use a heat press and you transfer it, it's going to print on the fabric absolutely no problem. However, when you start to launder it, maybe not the first time, maybe not even the second time, but the third time, you may start to have adhesion issues and the quality where it might start to fall off, right? Because it just doesn't have that adequate amount of adhesive. Also, if you're printing on a dark garment and it doesn't get that, say it's black text or something on a dark garment, if it doesn't get that white behind it, you're most likely not going to be able to see it. Or even if it's, if it's red text, say on a black garment, where you would be able to see the difference in red, because that ink without the white backer is not fully opaque, you're not going to be able to see it. So to ensure it's going to print like how you see on screen, just adhere to those guidelines on there as well. Let's see. Robin asks, can we provide artwork in Corel Draw? Do we need to make any special changes in Corel? Robin, no, but just export as PDF. So you could go into when you're saving out, just export it as a PDF, not a CDR file. That's the only special thing that you need to do. So a great thing that you use. Al asks, what formats can you use for artwork? So essentially any type of artwork. So JPEGs, PDFs, PNGs, TIFFs, AI files, PSDs, or even SVGs, right? So just about any file format that you could throw at it, it could take it. I like to use high resolution PNGs if I have to use a raster format, but typically I'll be using PDFs in vector format for a lot of the artwork that I'm setting up outside of EasyView. But here we are looking at EasyView. So we're talking a lot of this technical stuff with all of these design programs, Corel Draw, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop files. You don't need those. You could create custom artwork that looks professionally designed for t-shirts in just a couple clicks, whether you could draw a stick figure or whether you can't draw a stick figure, whether you have design experience or whether you barely know how to use a computer, right? EasyView Online Designer is a free online designer on both STAHLS and Transfer Express that allows you to use over 8,000 customizable layouts. And I say customizable layouts, just like we see on the computer screen here. Support your local farmer is what comes in. You could just double click the text and change it all in real time. You could update different colorways. You could update the background color, and you could even mock up. So just like that little rooster on the weather vane right in the middle of that design, if I wanted to change that and put a school mascot, I could easily, with just a couple clicks, again, browse from over 10,000 pieces of customizable layout that I could swap. So I could swap in there for that rooster. So it's incredibly versatile, and there's over 200 fonts that you could use from, and this is all free, all online. All you need is an internet connection and either a STAHLS account or a Transfer Express account, and you could use EasyView Online Designer that is just loaded full of artwork. And I'm going to jump into it in just a little bit if you've never seen it before, and I'll show you how powerful it is. And even if we have some low resolution artwork or something, right, I'll show you how to fix it so you could avoid any artist fees, okay? Now, you could recolor almost any artwork in here. You could create mock-ups, like I mentioned, on a whole catalog of different apparel. So if you want a Next Level 3600 or a Bella Canvas 3001 specific t-shirts, and two of my absolute favorites, or the Port & Company PC 450, the fan favorite, or Dave favorite, you could search those specific styles, and you'll see all of the available colorways that garment is available in, be able to see different views with models or just kind of flat lay shots. So super versatile, and you could drop your artwork right onto it, download it to host it on your online store, your Etsy store, or even email your proofs to customers with a watermark on it or with a watermark off of it. It's really incredibly versatile, used by so many decorators who, art is a big aspect of it, and paying to outsource artwork or somebody on Fiverr or sending it to your cousin Jeremy. Sorry, Jeremy, but Jeremy doesn't actually know how to use Photoshop. And so when you send it to print, there's still issues and you have to go back and forth, costing you delays in your artwork. Or Jeremy's now like, I need more money, man. This is taking a lot longer than I thought. And you're like, I just want a print ready file. You don't have to worry about any of that all in here. And of course, if you do have any artwork issues, or something's low resolution, or something has too fine a detail and you're not sure how to fix it, our team is always available to help for a small fee. So we do provide artist assistance if you need it, right? In a lot of cases, you could pass that cost on to your customer as a custom decorator as well. One of my favorite things about the Online Designer too is that you get a live proof before you order. So you get the last stage, regardless of what transfer type you're ordering, including DTF, right? On the last step, you see what it's going to look like. And we'll even identify any issues that maybe are below those minimums, right? The minimum requirements for line weight. Or even if you have soft edges, it's going to flag that and say, hey, we noticed that in your file, it may not print exactly how you want it to, right? So that is a truly valuable tool that you could use to really have confidence that your transfers are going to show up correct, exactly how you expect or how your customers expect, saving you, again, time and money and making you more efficient and effective as an apparel decorator. Even if you don't have a clue about what to look for in artwork, we want to handle it for you. So a little bit more about EasyView Online Designer, because I'll jump in here and show you in real time. And if you haven't, go ahead and go in there right now. And Jana has a question. You could switch out part of the already loaded artwork in the Online Designer. Jana, I'm going to show you how to do it here in just a minute, right? So kind of like that last proofing step. You could call it a heat map, if you will, because usually it's a little magenta outline that it puts on things. You could see it in green a little bit in this example that we have, that fine text, right? Now, this is a left chest print. So this is a small print to begin with, sized at 4 inches wide. So about that big, right? So you can see some of those fine lines light up green because that green color is selected. So it does find those trouble spots. It does prevent low resolution, so the dots per inch, which is that 300 DPI that we were talking about. It'll warn you up to 150 DPI, and we won't let you order below 150 DPI. But anything 150 DPI you could order, and of course, we prefer 300 DPI and up. Now, of course, say like right here where it's flagging this text, we could just go in and add an outline to thicken up that little tiny text by like 0.02 inches so that it's adding thick enough line so that we could actually have the white adhesive print behind that and we're not going to lose it. Now, of course, we talk about some of this detail and sometimes it's okay, right? Seeds on a strawberry. If you lose one of the seeds, it still looks like a strawberry, right? And nobody's going to notice that seed missing if it's under those minimums. So I wouldn't stress about fixing that one seed or two seeds that might flag on that. Same with like a golf ball. If you lose a couple dimples on the golf ball because it's a small scale, odds are you're never even going to notice. Now, however, if it's text, right, or very important elements, that is something you want to ensure is going to print properly. Because if you lose a few of these stems that we see highlighted in green, you're not going to be able to read what it says, right? So very, very important on that text in there. So Cindy says the artist tool is amazing. Saved me so much time. That's great to hear. And so, yeah, just want to make sure that I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to show everybody else if you haven't been using it. Emma asks, is there a way to save the computer? So with the mockup feature, you could download the low resolution mockup. Otherwise, it is kind of more of a tool for you to order transfer. So you can't download like print ready artwork from it, but you can download mockups that you could host online and send to your customers to show what the finished product's going to look like. Of course, if you want to show them a little bit more detail of the artwork, you could just screenshot it too and be like, hey, here's detail of what this looks like. But that is not a print ready file. That's going to be at 72 DPI. And that's going to be well under that threshold to be able to print that. So also in EasyView Online Designer is a brand new feature that I don't know if you've heard about, but it's called Team Builder, right? So it's made specifically for variable data and numbers. So you could upload just a team roster and have the name and the number swap out. You could combine it with static artwork that stays the same, whether it's like our example up here where it says Eagles, right? Where every single sheet is going to get Eagles printed on it because that's the front print, and then a name and number for the back. All set, all pre-spaced, ready to just apply, right? So it really simplifies the variable data of decorating for teams. Now, we see a lot of work coming through too of just different names. So using the team builder because you're personalizing some shirts for a local business or a team where it's going to say coach or a player's last name just on a left chest on a polo or something, that this is a really super easy way to just upload a TXT file or copy and paste some text in there, and it will auto format every single one of these designs to just be one name, right? So Team Builder is really great. You can see exactly it in use here, and it's fantastic when you have custom kind of numbers or a whole bunch of different colors in the numbers, or like this where there's a pattern, which we see more and more often for especially community leagues, the adult leagues that get a little bit more fun, and of course kids leagues, right? So we're like those really, really cool uniforms, and all this is priced at 6 cents a square inch. That's it, right? So it could be incredibly affordable to decorate as well. Now, having decorated for Special Olympics teams myself, there have been times where you're like, all right, this is 3 and 1. It's got to be 13. And then you take the two numbers individually, you lay them down, and then you look and you go, I already printed a 13. That was supposed to be 31. And now you have two 13s, right? So this does help eliminate some of those issues when you're really flying on the heat press. And maybe that was the first time I ever did league uniforms, so maybe I didn't plan properly and lay them all out to ensure I was doing everybody's number correct. But needless to say, they got an extra jersey. Lucky number 13, right? Mark says, is there a way to erase part of the image in EasyView? You know what? Let's just head on over to EasyView Online Designer, and I will screen share here, and I will show you some of those things. So I want to ensure, let me just make a note so I don't forget on how to erase elements. And I'll show you that. So let me get my screen share going here. Al asked, can you purchase EasyView LTE? EasyView is free. You don't have to purchase anything. All it takes is a free account. And of course, the marketing kit from Transfer Express has an idea book that is loaded with a whole bunch of the artwork. So if you sit down with a customer, you could even say like, hey, you know, I want to show you some artwork that we could do for you. And you could just show them a layout. It corresponds to the codes in EasyView. So they say, I want QTR 262. You could pull that exact layout up and customize it for them. So you get really, really great customization options that you could use. So here we have EasyView Online Designer, right? I'm just going to get a new session up. So let me just refresh this. And if you're new to Transfer Express, let me just go ahead and click on transferexpress.com so I could show you how to navigate to the Online Designer too. But going back while we're waiting for this to load. Now, of course, this is a browser-based program relying on your internet connection. I am live streaming to you from an internet connection that I'm also trying to access. So it may be a little bit slower for me than it is for you right now. But it's definitely faster when I'm not live streaming. So essentially transferexpress.com, you could click right here to the EasyView Online Designer, or click Order Transfers, or click Online Designer. So you could get to it a few different ways. At STAHLS.com, you'll see it up at the top of the link too. STAHLS.com, there it is. So you'll see it at the top of the page. Of course, my internet connection. And I hope I don't lose you guys in demanding so much of the internet connection here. And so right here, EasyView LTE is going to get you into that same design program right here on STAHLS.com. Look how great it looks. They look almost identical, right? They do look almost identical. So here in EasyView Online Designer, here is our design space. The first thing I'm going to do, because we are talking about direct-to-film transfers, is I'm going to make my product selection. Now, I'm going to hide myself here when I talk about pricing, because right here in the bottom of our screen is where our pricing and turn time is displayed. So I'll turn myself off when time comes to that. But here on the lower left-hand corner is going to be our transfer type. So we're going to select full color. So you can see our screen printed transfers here. I'm going to select full color and UltraColor Max right here in the middle. That's what we're going to want to select. Now, because we do have those options for gang sheets or single images, you could choose here if you want to start with gang sheets as low as 4 cents a square inch, or just buy the image at 6 cents a square inch. I'm just going to continue as a single image, but you could change that at any time right here at your sheet size, large sheet and small sheet for those breaks, as well as up here in the artboard setting. You have your square inch, your large sheet, small sheet, and you could even change it in portrait or landscape. Say if I just go to that small sheet, that 12 by 22 right here, and I say I want it in portrait mode, you can see it changes the orientation of this sheet. Or if I just want to go back to square inch pricing, I just go back to square inch pricing. So there was that question in there about erasing things, and I'll show you real quick. So in a lot of cases, I'll just pull this layout in, and with just a couple clicks, like I had mentioned, transfers, right? Update all in real time right in front of you. Now, this could be moved. So if we wanted to move this out of the way, we could, of course, just delete it. So I'm just going to click delete and it's gone. Or if I just wanted to mask some of these areas, what I'll do is actually go in here, grab basic shapes, just grab a square here, and I'm just going to resize this down to say 2 inches by 2 inches or something, because I want to knock out, I don't know, something maybe just around this this artwork, right? So I could just make the box however big I want it to be, and just select no ink, right? So then if I grab this text, arrange it, pull it back to the top. I'm flying through these things. Don't worry about not being able to follow along. We have tons of education on EasyView and EasyView LTE Online Designers on the STAHLS TV YouTube page, as well as the Transfer Express YouTube page. In fact, just a couple months ago, we did like a 2-hour-long webinar on a master class of all the things you could do in here. But essentially here you could see that we have just essentially made a layout with just a couple clicks. And I'll show you a little bit more true use case of how you could use this, right? So I'm decorating for a school. I'm going to go into my school. Let's just look. It's just going to be a general something, right? So here we're in mascots. We're just going to look at some of the mascots that we have available. I like this one, right? Wildcats. There's a wildcat, but they're not that. They're the Panthers, right? So here, all I have to do is select this text, go up here into the menu, and I'm going to say Panthers. So you see it update all in real time. This is not a panther. That looks more like a wildcat or my cat when she's hungry. And so let's find a panther. I'm going to say replace clip art in this edit menu, replace clip art. Let's just search panther. Of course, you could go through all of these different ones, but we have some different panthers in here. So I'll grab this one and boom, it pops in all in real time. I could resize this. I could remove this text if I want to, or I can even change the font, like if I'm not a big fan of it, or because we're not here, say we're in Cleveland, right? We could change it, and we could even reduce the spacing in between these letters, or if I want to make this a little bit thicker of a font, ooh, there was one right here at the top, that it all updates in real time. Say we want this to be white ink on a black shirt, right? So just like that, now I'm changing everything and everything's updating for me all in real time. Now, of course, right next to me, you could see at 10.6, so almost 11 inches wide, this is a full chest graphic. We're just paying $4.62 for one of them, right? So how incredible is that, right? So really great, but say your customer says, well, we don't want a regular panther, we want our own panther. We have a mascot already. Let me send you the file. Cool, send me the file. We'll go here to upload all of those different file types that I was talking about, PDF, JPEGs, PNGs, TIFFs, all of that right here. So let's just upload a file. I'll go into my, let's see, desktop, and I'm just going to pull, I think this is going to be a folder where they are. Perfect. Right here, got a Panther logo. So let's just grab a Panther logo. And now we import this vector Panther. So I could take this guy, just delete him out. And now we just put their own Panther in there. And now we could order this. Also, pricing only updated because I moved the whiskers out a little bit, right? So still, $4.50 per transfer. Really great, really affordable, and easy to use. Before I jump out of EasyView Online Designer, I do also want to show you just some things that you could do for those artwork that you're uploading, right? So with this one, I'm going to pull in this logo. So let's see if I hover over. Yeah, you could see it. 600 by 870 pixels. This is not a print-ready file, right? This is what somebody sends you and says, I want this printed, and it's just never going to be able to print, right? So in here, we're going to load it on in, and it'll import right into the designer. It'll even remove a white background. There's no white background, but it thinks that the cement color or gray is white, so it's removing it. But I don't want to do that. I want to say keep original, right? So we're going to import this in, and we can import this as full color, which would be fine if it was at resolution, but it's not. So I'm just going to click spot color, and then I'm going to hide my little head here because we need this button right here, right? So this add spot color version pulls it right on in. Now it pulls in all of these different colors, like we have this difference in the background color, but that's fine, right? I'm just going to go in object, ungroup, because now I could delete this. We went from a file that was not able to be printed to now there's no warnings, no DPI warnings. Let me just show you what that looks like if we do upload this file. And the warnings that EasyView will throw at you. So here we'll just skip through our steps again and pull it on in. As we're waiting, let's just go keep original. I'm going to go back to the chat section to make sure there's not anything I'm missing. Let's see. If you have a proof done, could you order on STAHLS site, or do you have to use Transfer Express? The cutoff time is later on STAHLS. So the cutoff time for both of these transfers, which I'll get to in just a minute, is order by 8 a.m. and it ships same day. So if you order today, it's past 8 a.m. It's shipping out tomorrow. So easy on that. So here, full color, import full color. And the EasyView Online Designer is going to load it in, but it says, hey, I'm at 95 DPI. Okay. And this is only 6 inches wide right now, but you'll see a message here at the bottom of the screen. So it says, hey, the recommended maximum size would be 3 inches by 2 inches. Not cool, man. I need this for a full back of a t-shirt, right? So where I can't print this, I use the import setting using that spot color setting. I'm just going to delete this to now I have a file ready to use. You see the colors import, so I'm just going to say no ink for that. So cleaning that up, and now I have my 3 colors. Say I want to make this yellow a little bit more vibrant. Let's do it. So now we took a file that was incompatible with any printing method, and now we're editing it. We're changing the colors, right? I could blow this up to 11 inches. We want to make it huge on the back of a t-shirt, right? We absolutely could. Say we even want to add a phone number to it. I don't have Photoshop, right? We're adding all of this all in real time. Let me change the ink so you could actually see it. We'll change it to a thicker font. We could resize this, tuck it in there, right? So now we're adding to their artwork to be able to order this all in real time. Even if I wanted to split this logo up, right? So I just want to grab the words and just take the words without the pizza slice on them. I'm just holding shift and selecting each one of these. You could even group this now. So if I just grab one of these letters, if I could just grab one of these letters, it grabs in there too, right? So I'm just going to take that, change it to no ink, so I don't have any black inks. So if I change my apparel color, we're printing on orange. That's it. I just have these 2 colors printing, right? And I'll do the same thing to this. Just grab these all. Whoop, I'm not holding shift, so it's not selecting all of them. So here, grab these, move it on right over, and now we're able to modify our artwork. Say we do want to keep this guy, size it up, whatever we want to do. We absolutely can make it happen. It's really super simple to do all of this all in real time. Let's say we just want this to be 4 inches for left chest print, and boom, we made it happen, right? So now we can see that we're down to just, we have some extra stuff hanging out on the side here that we could get rid of probably. But that's just showing, you could usually go up here and say show invisible objects. And sure enough, we can see that we've got, some stuff hanging out up here. So you could delete that because that's finding it in our square inch pricing, right? But if I just go back a couple steps, right? And I'm going to say, go back to regular view and just go back and back. So we'll take this off. Let me show you that mock-up feature real quick, right? So I'll just grab this, tuck it right up in there, mock-up. So we click on this, and let's say use apparel. What did we say earlier? I really like the PC 450, right? Whoop. I'm going too fast for the system. So let's just search 450. PC 450, that fan favorite. And we're going to print on like a gray shirt. Let's do a black shirt, right? But you can see all of the actual colorways this style is offered in. So you're not going to sell your customer, oh yeah, totally, it's going to be this shirt at this price. And then you're like, oh wait, they don't actually make that gray color or that blue. So here we have it mocked up right on our design. We could download this even if we want it to be a little bit more stylized. Now we've got it on the front or the back of this shirt too. Whatever you want to do, you can mock these up. All super simple. And then from here, just click this download button and it's going to download this so that you can send it off to your customer in a really nice design. Now, let me show you gang sheets real quick before we leave into the online designer or out of the online designer. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, give me a new session, right? Now, all of this artwork you could save in here up at the top. You can see a whole bunch of artwork that we have all saved in here. You could even create folders for different customers or different customers or different seasons, right? So anything in there. Jesse, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to show off a lot of the capabilities and functionality here without taking up too much of your afternoon. We do have, Mike might be able to throw a link into a whole bunch of resources that we have available for you for the EasyView Online Designer. That are little bite-sized 2-minute videos for essentially everything I've showed so far, but definitely at not the breakneck pace that I'm currently going at. Alicia, I was holding shift and then just clicking with the mouse to select different options. You'll find there are commands and controls in here from like duplicate, control D, the copy and paste. So if it's control C, control V, or command if you're on a Mac or an Apple computer. you could do that. Al, the training videos are totally available. And it looks like Mike just linked in that master class that we did in there. So Cindy, this is the same on the STAHLS site. So this is the STAHLS designer and the Transfer Express designer, just a little bit different. So you could choose different transfer types on Transfer Express, whereas STAHLS is locked right now just to UltraColor Max with wink, wink, nod, nod, maybe some more transfer types coming soon into the designer. And so you do have that option there. And then of course, that's pretty much one of the only differences, right? It's very, very similar with all of the upload, the mock-up features, all of those print standards are all the same. Amanda says, how do you undo when you move something? There's an undo command right up here at the top with this undo button, or it shows you the shortcut. You could just hit Control-Z, so that regular undo. You could do that. Yeah, more webinars, many more webinars, Jenna. We'll definitely make it in there. Sean, is the list of keyboard shortcuts? I believe we have a blog post about all of those. And Mimi, it does look very similar to Corel Draw. Great observation. Let's see. Just want to make sure. So Tyler asked, thanks for your response. Was there any way that I could email them a link to the Easy View and they could design logos on their own time? So you can't necessarily do that with a customer right now because you do have Transfer Express branding and they'll be able to see the cost, right? So I'm just going to throw a logo back up in here real quick. So we'll throw this one up here and I'm going to change this over to our, because I started a new session, set it to our gang sheet pricing, right? So here I'm just going to grab these. Maybe I could fit 3 of these up on one sheet, right? And then say you want to do those inside tag prints for your own brand or fit some left chest prints in here. They're in here too. So like add layouts, dealer only shirt tags, right? And so you could grab these shirt tags and pop them in here wherever you have space. This one's going to be a little tight to make a little bit smaller in there because we're already at 2 inches. But there may be even some other layouts that we could use like these, right? That are going to be a little bit more horizontal that we could even kind of shove in all of this extra space. Now, this is stuff that we're getting for free, right? This is either stuff that we're going to do, and these could be customized the same exact way that we just customized those other ones. I'm going to grab this zoom tool and zoom on in. So we could grab these, and it's just editable text, right? So medium. I meant to do that in all caps. That's not caps. Nope. Maybe my caps lock is on. Is that what I was thinking when I was holding shift earlier? Medium. Nope, no, not holding shift. Come on, Dave, get with the program. There we go. So all of those, you could swap in your own logo here, or if I just want this to say like Dave's company, right? All right there. You could change the font too. If I don't like that one, want to make it a little bit more quirky. Oh yeah, cool. Dave's company. Let's separate those. You can see how powerful this is, right? There are not free online designers that give you this amount of control when you're ordering custom transfers, and it makes it so easy to edit all of this stuff and saving money too. So now all of these prints, 3 of these we're getting for $14 total, right? So how much did just one of these cost? $6 or something when we were originally priced out at per square inch pricing. So I'm essentially getting one of these for free for the same price. So you can see we're already saving with these gang sheets, right? So all of this stuff right here. Amanda asks, sorry, keep missing it. How do you get the gang sheet option? I'm flying through here, so I do apologize. But yeah, tons of resources that allow you to show that, or our most recent video on Transfer Express on YouTube. So just search Transfer Express. You'll see we talk specifically about these gang sheets. So just right here, when you select full color UltraColor Max, you'll get this gang sheet size option at the bottom. Just click on it. We have small sheet selected right here. You can see the extra real estate we get with the large sheet. Whoa, that's a lot of space. Or if we want to go back to square inch pricing, we absolutely can, right? So you can see just square inch pricing. If we were to order all of these at square inch, it's $15.36. But if we switch over to our small sheet, right, we're saving money, right? So we're saving money right off the bat on this small stuff. And this is just at one quantity. So imagine it's just compounding the more you order. Patricia says, don't see that option. Make sure you have full color UltraColor Max selected. And on STAHLS.com, because you get pricing breaks at the quantities, there is no gang sheet option here. What is there gang sheet options here? Look at that. So I don't think there's quantity breaks on, but you can still order by the sheet here at STAHLS.com. That is a new addition. Saw that one today. So, hey, look at that. We're learning together. Al, you cannot download the final artwork. We would not be able to have a free online designer for that. maybe someday soon, because we get asked a lot and we do listen to decorators just like you. So if you keep asking about it, we might find a solution where you would be able to do it. But there was a question about having a customer design their own stuff, right? So I don't really recommend you giving this to a customer because they're going to see, oh, this is $14.50 for 3 of these images. Cool. So this guy is going to give them to me for what? $4 a piece plus the garment cost? No. You need to be marking everything up for your time and to make profit, right? So you can design with a customer in person. So I've seen this used several times. You could go up here to settings and click customer mode. Now, one thing I want to point out is that there is a Transfer Express logo or a STAHLS logo at the top, and you have your pricing information at the bottom, right? Which, when I click customer mode, now Transfer Express doesn't exist. Now, of course, you would go full screen here too, so that they don't see that it's a URL to be able to take the URL. But then you need an account to use it, and then people are timid and like, I don't need to sign up for an account. I probably need a business license or something, and they're not going to sign up for an account to use this unless they're watching this webinar right now. And then, well, sorry, I'm kidding. So you can see that this just looks like, again, like it was mentioned, kind of looks like Corel Draw, right? So this looks like Corel Draw. And if you don't know Photoshop or Illustrator, you don't know what it looks like. This looks like a design program. It's your own software. And so now Transfer Express is hidden, or STAHLS is hidden up there at the top, and the pricing is removed, but you could still save this, right? So you could design with a customer, say, oh yeah, they want 55 quantity. Save all this, save the job, and then be like, well, let me run some numbers when I get back to the shop. I'll have you a quote in just an hour or so. Your quoting is literally going back to the shop or back to your office, back home, wherever it is. Click design mode, and you're like, all right, cool. It's going to be $10 for 3 of them, $3.33 a piece. Cool. And then I'll mark that up another $3. So I'll charge them $6 per shirt with the decoration, right? And now you're doing your costing so quick, so effective, and ensuring you're getting paid. But let's go to the heat map step before I jump out of this. And of course, Team Builder is right here as well. There's a video online. I don't want to take up too much of your time today because that's going to be another half an hour of me showing you how cool that is. So go check it out and be sure to find that on YouTube. It's on both the STAHLS and Transfer Express YouTube pages, I believe, and it's linked to the Team Builder kind of blog post as well, talking about how to use it. So there'll be resources on that. Let's see if Mike might be able to throw that over on there. So let's go next, right? Because that's our next step, and we're back into the mode because it won't let us go to next. It'll only let us save when we are in that customer mode. So we go here, let's go next. I'm ordering these sheets, and now it's running through our test to see if there's any potential application or printing issues, right? This can take quite a little bit if you have a ton of stuff on your design, or we don't have too much right here. We're live streaming to you right now, being pretty demanding on the internet connection. Again, what is required for this designer? But you could use a Chromebook. So like the low cost computers, right? Or even your phone, an iPad, any kind of tablet. So here we do have some issues, and we're allowed to zoom in, right? So because I did shrink this down just a little bit, some of these fonts here are just a little too thin, right? So we have this line that's going to be too thin. Some of these things, we could go in and fix those, right? So using that same kind of workflow, I'll just click back and back, and I'm just going to change one right here, right? Whoa, zoomed in way too far. So let's grab this and see if we could just thicken it up. So here, I'm going to click add an outline. I'm going to add a touching outline. You'll see it adds an outline right there. And we'll just make this a little bit smaller to that 0.2 and change it to black ink. And now you can't tell, right? That one's going to be great. With this one, we could add an outline, but because this text is super, super tiny already, let's just try to find a thicker font that we could use. Gonna bet that one's going to be okay. And with this one, again, adding an outline if we wanted to, might make it a little chunky, but that one's okay. And especially at a small size, maybe not ideal. So I would want to definitely make this a little bit larger. But just as easy as I add that outline, I remove it, right? So you could make all of this happen all in real time. Let's just move some of this stuff around. And of course, because I made this super wide, I'm just making things hard on myself. So there we go. That might be okay to get us above that threshold. So now we could click next again, rerun it through that step and ensure that anything we wanted to change is now fixed. Now, of course, if you had pink in your design or green or blue or something on the edges, you could change this to whatever color is going to stand out and be a high contrast on your stuff. I see Janice says, I have all day to hang out in here. And I would love to hang out with you guys. Maybe we'll do some more lives. I do want to start a nice little tip, like a tip of the week. So make sure you're following Transfer Express and STAHLS on TikTok or Instagram, because we're going to start doing these little tips of the week. So here we have drastically reduced, of course, all of the issues that we had with all of this text lining up or lighting up in our proofing step. So it is confidence in ordering, knowing it's going to show up, be able to be applied, and be ready to go. So I saw one more question in there just for the mock-up. I'll show it one more time, and then we're going to keep going here in our online in our DTF conversation back into our slideshow. So here we have all of these on here. I'm going to click mock-up over here on the left-hand side. And let's say we are going to use something like a Bella Canvas 3001. Really, really nice fitted t-shirt and a really nice array of colors that we could use. So the school colors are like a teal or something. So I don't know. Let's find a teal. That one's a little green. One of these here green. I know there's a teal somewhere. All right, there we go. We kind of got it. I'm going to click and go back to just our front view, but you can see now it's our whole gang sheet, right? And of course you could customize this watermark. I don't know if I showed you that before. Dave's Tees, right? Dave's Tees. But we could also just turn it off if we want to, right? So, but we have our whole gang sheet here. Let me just select one of these. So I just drew a box around it, and then you could just click selection only. And right there, now we have it sized up, and we're able to mock it up. So that's that mock-up feature in there too. I saw Jim had a question that people are asking. You talk about tricks to reduce the plastic feel from UCM. Jim, absolutely fantastic question. And that is going to be knocking out areas to show through to the garment. That is the number one thing. We have a video on our YouTube page that essentially jumps into some ways that you could look at it, but design or modify your customer's artwork with the shirt color in mind. So like with this one, say if we just go back to our edit menu, right? Let me just delete this. Say they want this text to be, this, I don't know, one of these teals, right? So like a teal, just like that. They want it to be teal. If we're printing on a white shirt or something, that's fine, but then we're probably not printing black. So then we're going to take our black and just select it to no ink, right? So you want to reduce those big, thick areas of color by knocking whatever the garment color is out. And with direct to film, because you're ordering, you have the ability to just order one or order these different variations and not really impact the price, whether we're gang sheeting like this or not. Say this one is going on some different color shirt. We want to change that to white or grab everything over to this teal. They could be combined to the same gang sheet with no difference in our price here, right? So we have all of these now. Our price hasn't changed from $10.50 because it's all on this gang sheet. If I even wanted to add another color, say they want an orange version or something, right? It's not changing our cost at all. So you could do this and modify it. Now, another thing that you could do too is either explore halftones, ensure that you're using a large enough dot size that's going to meet that minimum. You could always use this little tool right here, right? So I just clicked on this little print standards tool. It's also right down here. And we could say UltraColor Max. It tells us our line thickness. Let's just zoom in on some of these fine details up here. And I'll click UltraColor Max. You'll see a little line pops in. So we could even hold it up to this line. Oh, we are just barely too small on that. So like some of those are flagging and they are just a little bit under that minimum, but you could see that in there. So make sure any halftone dots that you're making are at least this size or larger if you want to do that. Or very easily, say your customer does give you just a big circle graphic that you can't change, right? I'm just going to start a brand new session right here. We'll grab a layout in here. I think one of these has a pretty big, pretty big area like this guy, right? This is actually would be absolutely phenomenal in direct to film at any size. Let me change back to full color, UltraColor Max. And so you might see this big area being a little thick. And so it does have some show through areas to our garment color. Let's just say, we're going on a charcoal garment, change our ink color to white, right? this is a large ink coverage area. You could just grab distressing effects. So to give it kind of a vintage vibe, and now we've just broken it up, right? So this print is not going to feel like plastic at all. Odds are you're not going to even be able to feel it on the graphic with any printing method. So not just DTF, right? I've been designing t-shirts for well over 20 years. I've been printing them myself for about 14. Any print method, from screen printed ink, right? From direct to garment, heat transfers, pretty much sublimation is the only one you could get away with. Or if you really spend the time to learn, which it could be rewarding if you love the art of screen printing, but water-based screen printing. If you don't love the art of screen printing, it is a pain in your neck, right? But those are the only ways. Sublimation and water-based screen printing are pretty much the only ways that you could get zero hand feel. Any large ink coverage areas. I used to print for metal bands, right? One of the last shops that I worked at, and they would want these huge 16-inch by 20-inch prints on the front of a shirt with 9 screen printed colors, and it felt like you were wearing a bulletproof vest. It was much more uncomfortable than a direct-to-film print or any heat transfer vinyl, right? But just letting the fabric breathe, breaking it up in any place that you can severely and detrimentally improves the hand feel. So that is a great tip. But we have a whole tip, whole video, 5 ways to make your DTF prints better over on our YouTube page there. So let's see. When you move the design from the gang sheet to the mock-up shirt, you adjusted the design to fit. How do you make sure the design will fit right, or what dimensions it will come? So with anything in the online designer, you could grab and scale just by the corners, right? But you'll see over here on the left-hand side that my actual width and height updates in real time. Make it small, 379. Make it big. Now we're that. Say this customer wants it spec'd at 11 inches wide. I'll just type in 11 right here and it sizes it appropriately. So here, like if I go to my small sheet, you can see how much space it fits on my small sheet. Again, with this layout, I don't want this Compton Beach, so I'm just going to delete it, right? Boom, deleted, it's out. So there are 5 of these distressing textures in here too. This artwork, because it's mostly line work and text, this is the only thicker area. I would have absolutely no problem printing something like this with direct-to-film. But if I was concerned about hand feel, throw on one of these textures. Look how retro that looks. And for this design too, it just absolutely crushes it, completely makes the look and makes this look like one of those like 90s retro, Pac Sun, O'Neill kind of surf wear shirts that are really popular right now, right? So even if I just threw this on like a nice bubblegum pink shirt or something like that, one of these, surf colors, denim. Wow, it looks so surfy, right? So perfect. So you want to just use the name with letters, right? You could either just add text, or you're doing variable data just like this. Click add text in your add menu and just say this is text, right? Change this to over 250 fonts. You see them all in here. This is a lot of fonts to scroll through. It also has different categories if I want to do sport block, like something just like a full block, or something even a little bit more like, I like this one. Let's try that, right? But yeah, full block, like you just want it to look like this. Scrunch it in, make it a little bit wider. And this is very similar to how then the team builder would work, but then you would have variable data on this that would be automatically configuring it for you. Katie didn't catch the number of the size of the halftone. I would go no larger than 0.021 inches. So you could always grab your print standards right here. Just click UltraColor Max, 0.018 inches. You could go 0.02 inches just to be safe, or 0.5 millimeters. A good way to judge to make that the largest or the smallest dot that you have is still meeting minimums. But that's a great way that then you could get that like fade to the garment, right? And be able to show that to your customers. So yes, let's see. Can you add texture to only specific elements? Yeah, this is the last one I'll do, and then we're going to have to keep going on our DTF. But I love the questions, guys, and I'm always happy to help. So say I want to add distressing. Let's add this rain texture to this. I just could grab one element. So any other element, like if it was that mascot that we were using, just click clear here in the menu. And so it clears it from that, grabs it on that one. If I wanted to just apply it, just click apply to selected. And it'll apply it back to it. So yes, very, very easy to do that and add those. And then let's see. Yeah, I think that'll be it. All right. I'm going to jump out of our screen share here and go back to our presentation. I'm really happy you guys are asking so many great questions. It really is such a great program for anybody to be able to design custom artwork ready to go in there. So we even have a whole bunch of actual tools that you could use that correspond with the layouts in there. Like I mentioned, the idea book, and even some samples that use those layouts. So you could even start like pitching customers. That's available in our marketing kit if you've heard of anything like that, or just getting started. Really, really great. So we kind of touched on this already, but how fast does it come? How fast does it ship? So it's always the same day or next day at the absolute maximum, right? So order by 8 a.m. If it was, right now, so we are at 3:38 in the afternoon. Look, I said we weren't going to take 2 hours, and well, I'm sorry, we're learning. And I'm happy to be here as a resource for you. But if you order right now, so it's 3:38 p.m., our order is going to ship tomorrow. Now, this is business days. So if you order on a Saturday, it's not going to ship till Monday because it's going to look like it got placed at 8 a.m. Monday. Does that make sense? So as long as you're ordering before that 8 a.m. cutoff, I woke up early this morning before I drove to work. I placed orders for UltraColor Max, and so they are going to ship today. So, it's or even if you're a night owl, right, and you're working at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're working before production cutoff, and your stuff is going to ship that same exact day. Now, that is 8 a.m. Eastern time. That is on there. We do ship. So STAHLS.com, if you order from STAHLS.com, your order could ship from Michigan and Pennsylvania. If you order from Transfer Express, your order will ship from either Ohio, Arizona, or Pennsylvania. I believe we should be shipping more and moving more volume to our states and our friends out west from our Arizona facility, but this cuts down the transit times for you, right? So you have that same day or next day turnaround standard, right? There is no, you don't have to pay to jump the line like some of those other direct-to-film companies out there that are like, oh yeah, standard turn time is same day. And then when you go to actually order standard turn time, they're like, oh yeah, our standard turn time is $34 extra for you to rush your job. And you're jumping the line. No. You come in as you order it. If you do need a rush, you could ask, but with our turn times being as quick as they are, sometimes we're not able to accommodate those. But you're shipping same day if ordered before 8 a.m. Or at the very least, the very latest, you're getting that shipped out next day. So all orders are leaving, whether they're from STAHLS.com or TransferExpress.com, to be able to ship to you. But these are the locations that we're shipping from. So even if you're in, Ohio or Pennsylvania, you're getting your transfers from, like, if I ordered them this morning, I'm probably getting them like tomorrow, right? So it's really great to be close. But even if you're not, 2 days anywhere from Transfer Express in the entire contiguous United States, so the lower 48, whether you live in the middle of nowhere in Nevada or next to the Transfer Express facility. And if you're not picking it up, then I don't know what you're doing. But if you're getting it shipped to you, no more than 2 days. So we'll upgrade on us for air shipping to make sure it arrives to you within 2 days to be quick. That's from Transfer Express. So let's talk about application. So I talked a little bit about how to design, right? How to get your artwork and some of the benefits of using direct-to-film as a whole. But now we're going to talk very specifically to UltraColor Max, because this is where not all DTF is created equal, right? There are a lot of different DTFs out on the market. And even like we heard in some of the comments here today, when it's like, hey, I don't want it to feel like a sticker, right? So purchasing a high quality DTF is going to be the first step, because even in like heavier ink coverage areas, right? This is this one that I have here, my example. Like this flower is all solid. There's no show through that. This is going to feel absolutely phenomenal. There is not a single person who's going to wear this t-shirt and be like, this feels thick and crunchy, right? Because it is a high quality transfer. The pigments and the inks, we exclusively tested and built our own machines. And by built, I mean, we really built our own machines to be able to produce the highest quality DTF on the market, which is another reason why maybe you shouldn't, you should hold off on buying a DTF printer for yourself, right? Because just like we saw with direct to garment, and like I see at every trade show I go to, there are new printers that are replacing the old ones. The latest and greatest technology comes out, and we are consistently innovating, right? So you're future-proofing your business by not digging yourself into a hole by buying a DTF printer that you're going to use in your home. And we've seen a lot of things about the fumes with curing DTF powder adhesives in your home. If you don't have ventilation built, a venting system that's essentially sucking the fumes and pushing them outside, you may be running into health issues in your home, right? So there are a lot of things that go into, it's not just you buy a DTF printer and you're printing quality transfers, right? That's where you're getting those thick, thick, heavy inks. You're getting applications that don't apply at 290 degrees. So now that you could apply on cotton, polyester, cotton poly blends, spandex, lycra, right? But those synthetic fibers can't print above 300 degrees, but the powder adhesive that you have to use compatible with your inks and your carrier need to apply at 340 degrees. So now you're only limited to cotton poly blends, right? Or those heat resistant polyesters or synthetic fibers. So not all DTF is created equal. Look for a DTF with a low temperature application below 300 degrees. 200 is going to get you in that range where you could apply to almost any fabric type without the issues of scorching on that. And so one thing to keep in mind, I saw a question come in that just says, could we load our own distress? And you absolutely can. If you have a vector pattern, just upload it like an image and set the ink color to no ink, and it's your own distress. You can put that in there. But yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. Absolutely, absolutely love it. And so, yeah, this really does reduce heat sensitive scorching on those synthetic fiber garments. But so when somebody's like, yeah, DTF could print on everything, ask them what temperature it applies at. And if it's not below 300 degrees, it'll stick to everything, but you may be ruining the garments when you're trying to apply to it. And that's not helping your business out, right? That's ruining garments that now you're going to have to pay to replace for your customer or throw in the garbage. Now, of course, it's not a complete waste. It's a learning experience, right? So nothing is a waste or a write-off or a mistake as long as we're learning from it. They're learning opportunities, right? We're all students our entire lives, right? And I will say I've made my fair share of mistakes decorating apparel over the past decade plus. And I'm more than happy to share my experiences to prevent you from making those same costly mistakes. So anything I could do to help, I am always here to help. So Jocelyn asks, how does DTF compare to an oaky white toner printer? Well, a white toner printer, there are 900 steps that you have to do to get a transfer, from masking it and transferring it to the different film to putting it on your heat press, that your time is more valuable than doing that process. For like one-offs back in that technology, like back in the day before direct-to-film was a thing, those white toner printers were like one of the only ways that you could kind of cost-effectively print at low quantity and high color count graphics. But those white toner printers, you see less and less of them at every show, replaced by direct-to-film, and it really is kind of a older process. You could get really great detail with it, but even on like cotton garments, the whites, so Mike, I had mentioned, one of our guys who runs our research and development department here at STAHLS and Transfer Express, who works on DTF printers and was instrumental in building this process. He printed me some, when he's playing around with white toner, a long time ago, before he was here at STAHLS, before I was here at STAHLS, he was playing around with white toner printers, printed me a whole bunch of shirts, 50-50 blends, cotton, even some 100% polyester. On every single one of them, the white is, well, let's say dark gray at this point, 4 or 5 years later, not washed 50 times. They were used a couple times, little one-offs here and there. But I pulled them out of the closet the other day, and like the white is just not white. It doesn't stay white. It's not fully opaque. And yeah, the process, the cost of having to buy a printer and do all of those steps to get one print, it's more than 6 cents a square inch. It's got to be like a buck a square inch, or like materials, time, equipment cost, everything rolled into one. So there's a vast difference between white toner printers and DTF. I will say, depending on the DTF could feel even lighter than a white toner print on a shirt. Much more vibrant colors, much easier to apply, and definitely lasts and wears much longer than a white toner print. Let's see. Evelyn asks, could I do mixed mediums with the transfers? Like, could I add rhinestone accents? You absolutely can. I think Kelly just did a video not too long ago on the STAHLS TV YouTube page where she did do mixed media with UltraColor Max. So, but I think she used some like a chroma bling, but you could essentially add rhinestones, any other heat transfer. Just make sure that you are using a cover sheet to cover the UltraColor Max so it's not directly exposed to the heating element when you're applying another transfer type on that. So that's definitely one thing, but that's a great question. Fantastic question. So we talked about application, right? At least the application temperature at 290. So it's not going to be an issue for those heat sensitive fibers. Hot peel application, right? No need to cool down. No need to wait for it to cool, and do essentially double the amount of work. So cold peel transfers, if a transfer says peel cold, so this is a big difference in DTF. There are very, very little transfers out on the market right now that are a hot peel. The vast majority of DTF is a cold peel transfer. To allow it to cool properly, to actually adhere to the garment without those application issues where you let it cool, right? But it's not fully cool yet. And you go to peel it up and it peels to the carrier still. You need to remove the shirt from the heat press. It needs to be away from the lower platen. That lower platen gets hot with repeated pressing, or just a clamshell style press. Your transfers are underneath the heat anyway, right? So it's never going to truly cool. So you have to remove the shirt carefully so that the carrier doesn't peel up. Wait for it to cool completely. Peel the carrier, load it back onto your heat press, and double press. Not with UltraColor Max. It is a hot peel DTF transfer, and our team worked incredibly hard to bring that technology to market very, very early on, right? That we never offered a cold peel DTF transfer. So with that hot peel, single step application, there is no requirement to cover it and seal the edges. No, you'll see the fabric texture shows up right in the garment on that first press, and that has to do with the special proprietary formula of inks that we're using that allow it to be nice and thin, right? So it's not a thick paper piece of a transfer on your garment. It's ink that's stretchy and flexible, right? And if you allow to any areas, just like this graphic we see with rams, a lot of the breathable areas, never going to feel that, right? So peel it quick. It's going to stick to the garment, not to the carrier, and be an instant hot peel. You don't have to wait around, and you don't have to use a little hair blow dryer and blow on your transfers. Like, for real? How much, like, that can't be profitable to sit there and do it. If anything, you're stacking the shirts up, right, and in a big pile, waiting for them to cool down, then going back and peeling through. I would never encourage anybody to sit there and blow on a transfer for it to cool off. Even if you're just printing one, go send an email or something, eat a sandwich, do something instead of stand there and blow on your transfers. That just is insane to me. And I'm sure you've seen some of those videos too, and might be just as perplexed as I am, right? Hot peel, single step, no need to load it back on the heat press then, right? So you're not doing double the amount of work. You could be incredibly efficient when you use that. So, but here, right? So when we go to not all DTF is created equal, let's look at these differences that we covered here today, right? UltraColor Max is a hot peel, single step, low temperature application. So you are not doing double the amount of work. You're able to quickly and efficiently get a finished shirt. It applies in 15 seconds. That's it. Applies in 15 seconds, peel, and you're set. Even on like polyester garments or those that like retain heat really easy, 12 seconds, right? Go down to 12 seconds and it's even faster. So it's really nice. That single step, don't have to cover and repress. You don't have to wait for anything to cool, all ready to go. You do have a low temperature application at 290 that's safe for those synthetic spandex and lycra and those polyesters, or even the leathers, the faux leathers. I saw a question in there that was asking, like, what kind of leather do you print on? Both genuine and the vegan leathers have printed both fine for me. Now, granted, I haven't washed those 50 times, but I don't think leather's even recommended to be laundered, like a regular garment is, right? So, easy art access. So whether you're modifying files, uploading your own files, and just ensuring you want them to print correctly, you have that in the designer. You even have an online designer that you could build files from scratch or with all of those pre-made layouts, making it incredibly easy. We see a lot of people even these days grabbing AI artwork, right? Bing's image policy doesn't restrict from commercial use, at least any verbiage that I've went looking for in the past 6 months or so, right? It just says like, hey, if you're going to use this for commercial use, make sure that you legally could use it. That's kind of on you, not on us, right? So you could use AI images and import them into the designer, trace them like we did, like that vectorize, so that we are able to take a low resolution image and make it a editable file, recolor it, combine it with a layout, and boom. Now we've got ourselves a great print ready to go. Of course, the quality issues, right? Which we're going to look into a little bit, and that's why I have these two examples of our little race car guy holding up a donut. And you could see some, just where we are, you could see some color saturation that looks a little bit different. And we're going to dive in and look at exactly what separates a cheap transfer And I don't, maybe cheap's a bad word, because 6 cents a square inch is still incredibly cheap, or 4 cents a square inch is exactly what people say are cheap DTF transfers, right? Inexpensive DTF transfers, let's say inferior quality, right? And if you're just starting your business, this isn't really the quality that you want to be hanging your hat on. People are going to get it, and it looks like you got a print from an inkjet desktop printer that was running out of ink. It just does not look like a quality print. So let's look at banding, or things like gradients or out of registration, things that you may see on some of those more fly-by-night companies, everybody out under the sun selling custom DTF transfers, and why quality really matters. And now with the quantity break pricing, they are effectively the same exact price. So here we have UltraColor Max on the left-hand side of our screen, a other DTF transfer over on the right-hand side. It is very apparent right off the bat that we have banding in our print. Now, this is usually really prevalent on mid-tones, just like this pink, right? Where you could see the lines of the print head. Nothing says I don't have a quality t-shirt than banding in the prints, right? So one thing that you want to avoid, this is for a myriad of issues. So whether it's not a climate controlled environment, which is number one, that if the actual room that the DTF is being printed in is not climate controlled, you will see this, because this is a print head clogging or print settings being too fast, somebody being more economical to sell you the, just get it out the door. That's exactly what you're going to see here with the banding in the print. It also could be incompatible films, inks, and adhesives. With the supply chain of DTF primarily coming from overseas, even we have seen huge differences in the materials coming into our shop. Now, we have multiple labs where we test all of the supplies before they get loaded into the machines to go out to you, right? A lot of other smaller shops don't have the luxury of that. So when they get a new batch of inks, it goes right into the machine, and they don't know there's an issue with this batch of inks until it's already in your hands, or in worst case scenario, your customer's hands, when they say, hey, by the way, there may have been some issues with this where it's going to wash off. And now your customer doesn't care who produced it, right? Your customer's coming back to you. So we want to ensure confidence in your quality before you even touch it and before your customer gets it, right? Because for businesses just starting out, and when you actually land that big customer, it's a great feeling, right? And it's like, this is my business. All this hard work is paid off. And it just is heartbreaking to lose a customer. I've been there, right? I've been there where it's like you lose a customer on quality on that first order, and you're like, man, this was going to be, they were going to order every single month. And now they're not ordering from me because of quality issues, right? So we do everything in our power to ensure quality to you. Now, granted, I will say there's mistakes with everything, but it is very, very rare from Transfer Express, and we will absolutely own up to it 100% of the time and fix it for you. So do not hesitate. If something looks amiss, please reach out. But I will say that I was just looking at the rates of any errors on transfers going out is incredibly low. I think the lowest it has been in years. So our team works incredibly hard to ensure that you could be confident in your quality to your customers. And this is just one of those things, right? So let's take another look at this other piece of the design. And I have one of these shirts right here too. So if you want to see the full image, this is it. I'm a mannequin buddy, right? So this is the exact direct-to-film print that we are looking at least the UltraColor Max version of it. There is the one on the other side I don't have in my office currently right now, but this is essentially just zoomed up on this part of the helmet, right? So you can see UltraColor Max. Don't leave me while I'm ahead, right? All right. We're wrapping up soon, I promise you guys. But thank you for sticking out. I'm happy to answer some questions here at the end as well, which we are getting very, very close. So here, looking at the difference in quality, UltraColor Max on the left-hand side, it looks almost like a spot color. And you can see the lines of the fabric here, right? So you could see the lines in the fabric with just one press. Now, this other DTF transfer is a cold peel transfer, did require a two-step application. And, well, you could kind of see the garment texture in it, but man, that grain is really distracting. Does not look quality, right? It just doesn't. It looks like you have this grain in it. And that, again, is either a climate control issue, a settings issue, or incompatible inks, adhesives, or even the carrier that they're using too. Because essentially, that lighter color that we saw 2 slides ago is the white backing on the transfer, right? It's the white backing on the transfer showing through to the color side. So you can see on this one, I don't know if that'll even focus that up close. We don't have any of that banding here on that print. We don't have any of this grain. And that grain, when you're doing gradients that are nice, smooth transitions, just like we've got here on our shirt here. So you could see that there's this smooth transition from the gradient to the top of the hat or the helmet, and then all the way down, it gets darker. It looks nice and smooth on a transfer like UltraColor Max. On a other transfer, you have this grain on it. Also, one thing to notice is right along that bottom edge, there's a white line. And that's not a clear carrier or anything. That's just the white printing out of registration. So say if you were to do those halftones or any small like text that's a green or something like this, it really just doesn't look like how a t-shirt print should look. It does have that hard edge, and we've seen this in multiple different transfers. So this wasn't just like one off. We ordered a whole bunch from a lot of different vendors, and this is one of the most common issues. And either it's just their print settings, their rip settings, where they're not choking it in well enough, or their machine quality is either running too high, they're running too fast, or they just aren't quality machines. So you'll see this a lot with like those home-based printers. And so it's heartbreaking when I talk to decorators who are like, yeah, I spent $6,000 on a DTF printer and I lose customers because of the quality, but I can't sell it back. I can't resell it. I'm trying to make my money out of it and make it work. And it's like, you didn't need to invest in that right off the bat, right? I want you to be successful. I want you to make money. And I think custom transfers are definitely the way to go with it, especially just starting out or at low volumes, even at higher volumes. Like we just did the NFL, right? The whole combine, all of the athletes who are on TV, on field in Indianapolis, were wearing UltraColor Max. Like if the NFL could trust it to be on the national stage, right? Like it's the same exact transfer that you could get for your business. And so you have that quality that is that professional grade. If you go to a ballpark this summer, odds are you're going to see STAHLS products and Transfer Express products there with the MLB, right? So there are a lot of things that you could do that really help your business thrive from a very, very small scale, and quality is really one of them. So I definitely want to thank you guys for hanging out here today. I'll answer any questions that you have. Maybe we jump back into EasyView if you had something very, very specific, but I have just a few minutes we could hang out. Of course, we are always here. And if you have not tried UltraColor Max direct-to-film transfers, go ahead and try them out. I'll have Mike throw a free sample pack up. If he hasn't thrown a link to the sample pack right there in the chat section, and maybe with the recap or something, if we send out the replay, we'll put that link in there as well to say, hey, get your free samples. We want to send you samples. Try it out. I saw somebody say, hey, there, I saw a DTF. My DTF is very comparable to UltraColor Max. Hold them up side by side, right? And so with samples, absolutely love it. It's great. You could try it out for absolutely nothing. Not even shipping. We'll send them to you for free. But one of the things that I'll always say, and I'll even say it for us too, right? STAHLS or Transfer Express, with direct-to-film, with being able to order just one, order your own samples, right? Because some of these other companies, and I don't want to say that we do it. I haven't seen any difference. The quality you'll get from our samples is the same. But having ordered samples from a lot of these different companies and then actually ordering a custom transfer, it isn't the same quality, right? Where nothing's out of registration. It looks great. Like the colors are saturated. Oh, they're vibrant. And then you upload your own artwork and then you have out of registration whites. There's banding and graininess on the print. And it's like, man, like, So I always order a custom with DTF. You should be able to order one off. You may have to pay for shipping, but you could group some things together. Sometimes there's discount codes for first-time customers, stuff like that. But you could order your own samples and try it out. Jim says, can you use parchment paper or linen paper or something to unsmooth a UCM large area print? You absolutely can. Applied at the right settings, you shouldn't need to. So I would check maybe your pressure settings or just make sure that your heat press is calibrated properly. But if you do, you absolutely can. We've seen people use the flexible application pad. So I had one around here, but the silicone, it's like a textured gray silicone sheet, the flexible application pad from STAHLS. We've seen people use that because that gives you a texture in it. We even did a full video on the Transfer Express YouTube page. If you search, man, it was all about different cover sheets. So we used parchment paper and craft paper and silicone cover sheets and like nonstick Teflon sheets and looked at the difference that it made to heat transfers. And the one that was actually surprising that we used was like cotton canvas, right? So either like a cut up tote bag, or we just ordered like a roll of artist canvas from Amazon, cut it and use that as a cover sheet, which was like really surprising that it made a texture in there. But yeah, you're adding texture with those different prints. You absolutely could do that. Let's see. Evelyn says, yes, please send a sample link. And I saw that Mike popped those in there. Thank you, Mike. Yep. Thank you. It was nice meeting you in Atlantic City too. Alyssa says great information. Thank you for hanging out. Daniel says UltraColor Max is the same as UltraColor Pro. It is not. So UltraColor Pro, the biggest difference is you will see a small, slight, clear adhesive outline on UltraColor Pro. And that is that hybrid transfer because it's getting the screen printed adhesive on the back. However, UltraColor Max is a nice, smooth, crisp edge like we just saw in this last slide here. Yeah, you have a nice, smooth, crisp edge. There is no clear adhesive outline on that whatsoever. So a really great thing to point out there. Michelle asks, where could I get these webinar slides? We will slide them out to you in an email. So we'll email out the replay of this and your webinar slides. Evelyn, great review of the features. I'm always happy to help anytime. Any questions, just let us know and we are happy to help. What's the difference in feel of UltraColor Pro and UltraColor Soft? So Lori here is talking about hybrid transfers. I have a short order of 265 and last year I used Soft and they loved it, but I know Pro would be a hot peel, but would feel like plastic because the full color shirt doesn't show any through the print. Or should I stick with Soft since they were happy with that last year? So Lori, that's a great question. The customer is, I know that we probably say it over and over again, but this has been my ethos, whether I'm working in a restaurant or in a retail store or especially like as an apparel decorator, the customer, if the customer's happy with a product, I don't change it. So we don't change anything. If a customer said, oh, Soft was fantastic, love the feel of Soft, because Soft does have that like velvet feel when you feel the print. They are both very, very similar products, but because that carrier is different for the cold peel, it is velvety soft, right? So if they were happy with that, they most likely I would print them Soft again. With Pro, it's going to feel very, very similar. It just isn't that like velvet matte finish, right? So like the weight on the garment, if you feel the inside of a shirt printed with Soft or Pro, they feel almost identical. It's just that outside feel and that appearance, right? So I would suggest, though, Lori, that since we're in bonus time, extra innings, that UltraColor Soft is on the schedule to be discontinued in favor of Pro. So because Pro was developed to be the hot peel replacement for Soft. And so if you do want to do that order in Soft, sooner rather than later, before it is unavailable, I would say, as one of the ways to do it. So let's see. Use the link, but wouldn't let me log into my account. Alicia, give us an email at info@transferexpress.com or give us a call 800-622-2280, and we'll be able to help. Or if it's a STAHLS account, 1-800-4-STAHLS, and we'll be able to help out. Cornelia says, really enjoy the lesson, enhance my confidence. I'm so happy we could help. Awesome. Diana says, I hope I pronounced that right. I can't seem to get some customers to bite on DTF over screen printing. And there are those customers, right? So when we talked about that what to use when chart and where we drew the lines in the sand, that some customers say like, no, I want 6 pieces and I want the screen print feel. And you go, well, you're okay paying for a low quantity screen print? And they're like, yes. Okay. Give the customer what we want, right? The customer is always right. Now, not always right. Sometimes I would say the vast majority of time that I've been decorating t-shirts, I always use the joke that like the customer doesn't care how the sausage is made, right? They don't. Like they want the hot dog, right? They don't care how it's made. So as long as it's ink on a garment that looks good, looks professional, that they don't specify, I need it screen printed. And a lot of people too, just think that the only way outside of the industry, right? Not apparel decorators, just like my mom, right? My mom will, any printing on a shirt, she says, oh, that's silk screen, right? Because like, I don't, Any shirt is screen printed, right? Doesn't matter if it's direct to garment or sublimation or heat transfer vinyl or any decoration method. It's all screen printed to her. So she'll be like, I'm just looking to get some shirts screen printed, where she just means I want shirts printed, right? And she just did some. They did like a department picnic for her, the bank that she works for, and she did shirts for them because she knows a guy, right? Spoiler alert, it's me. Kathy said, I had problems with hot peel for Pro only. Only way I could get it to work was to let it cool before peeling. And Kathy, we just did some stuff in Atlantic City for that, and unless it was a adhesive issue, which I don't want to say, like, I know Kathy, that you are an absolute pro when it comes to using a heat press. And for anybody else still hanging out with us, I know Kathy's met us several times down in Fort Worth at the Impressions Expo, and probably will be happy to chime in to say, like, you need to go to a trade show if you want to be serious about apparel decorating, just to see what the industry has to offer, talk to the pros, learn from all of these people and veterans who have been doing it for well longer than I have, even in sharing their experience to get you really energized and fired up and ready to go back home and absolutely crush your goals for your business, right? But I know in some conversations that I've had with Kathy that she is a very experienced decorator, but with Pro, it is not as forgiving as, say, like UltraColor Max is to apply. And when it's hot peel, it is an immediate, quick hot peel. No waiting or no like peeking to see if it comes up. The easiest test is when you peel the carrier off, if you could hear it, like if I shake it like a piece of paper and you could hear the carrier make noise because it's plastic, it's too cold. So you already waited too long. When you peel it off, you should shake it, and it's silent. It should be like soft, smooth, pliable rubber. As soon as it starts to harden up, it grabs the ink back onto that, and then you either have to wait for it to completely cool and then slowly peel it off. But any cold peel transfer too is going to give you that like gloss sheen, right? So that unless it's UltraColor Soft, of course, but it does give you a little bit of that gloss sheen. So if you cover and repress it again, that'll get rid of that. Craig, what's up? Impressions was amazing. Can't recommend it enough. Got to meet Dave and it was awesome. And I got to meet Craig, so I was excited. That made my trip. And we had some really great conversations and hung out during our happy hour event. So it was a lot of great time. Craig, it was great to meet you, and I appreciate you hanging out here, buddy. Mary says, will you be at the Impression Show in Fort Worth? I plan on being there. Hope to meet you. Mary, I absolutely will be. And I believe they haven't announced the conference like speaker lineup yet, but we did submit to have some education sessions as well. I know we'll at least be doing our Pro Day, which is a half-day workshop the day before the trade show officially opens, like the expo floor opens. But that is a absolute fantastic time to get a look and see kind of far beyond just application, but like we actually go through 3 like real world markets, different products you could produce, how valuable it could be with your heat press. We do deep dives into profitability analyses on actual like completed items, like, oh, this shirt with these decorations on it, or this hat with this decoration, and we break it all down, looking for ways that you can improve your business. So essentially we took a survey last year of a lot of the decorators in our orbit, and just were able to kind of get a feel for where they were seeing the biggest success and the largest challenges. And so we built a lot of the content around that to help decorators. So we talk about product a little bit in it, but a lot of it is a lot more higher end business goals and revolving around a heat press in general. And then you get to see some cool stuff like some software that helps automate stuff for you too. And we show off of course, the brand new Pro Place IQ, the projection system, where you just align a transfer to the light because it's projecting your image at size on the garment. So you stop misprinting shirts or anything like that. Let's see. So yeah, Mary, I will be there. I'll see you in October. Rebecca says, yes, trade shows. Made a few friends at DAX Kansas City. Great to have a support systems for those who have been in longer. Absolutely. Raymond said, your people spent the most time with me at Atlantic City. And see, like, that's like, it's not just me, right? It's everybody here at STAHLS and Transfer Express that, like, if you talk to us at a show, we always lead with questions about I want to learn about you as a business. Not all decorators are the same. And from you to Raymond to Danny to Kathy, right? everybody has different goals. Your businesses are different. Your customer bases are different. And I don't just want to be like, use a direct to film transfer. This is what you need to use. I want to understand what is going to be best for you and your customers, what's going to bring you the most profit, and what's going to be the best to be able to decorate. I'm not a salesperson either, right? I work in content and education here. Like my sole job is to help you out. So I want to understand how I can help you and what products, services, transfer types, selling methods, marketing strategies, whatever it may be to help. I'm here to help your business. Danis, I think that's how you pronounce your name. Danis. See you in Vegas. Appreciate all the info. Absolutely happy to help. There's Kathy's endorsement for the trade shows. Raymond, I showed Easy View at Atlantic City. Yes, I showed you Easy View again today. I love my Easy View online designer. So yeah, we'll be down at Charlotte Graphics Pro Expo, Avalon. And so Lori asks, if you need to ask me specifically a question, how do you get in touch with me? The easiest way, because I am very on the road. I'm doing these webinars every single day. Pretty much when I start my day and when I end my day is on YouTube. So if you comment on any Transfer Express YouTube video, I will answer it personally, sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I apologize if you have your notifications on and I'm blowing you up at 2 o'clock in the morning on YouTube, but I will respond to every single 99% of those, because sometimes our social media team will jump in if I'm out of office. Let's see. Pro Day, Atlantic City was great. Thank you, Jim, and thank you for attending. Thanks for hanging out today. You were able to see all the different transfers, patches, and apparel at Pro Day. Well worth the time and money. Thank you, Kathy. And yeah, we've kind of completely, even from what we brought to Fort Worth last year, it is completely different now. So completely overhauled, and it's like full of applications. It is action packed, slammed into essentially 3 hours. Suhaini asks, is there any trade shows in Europe? Also, I went to FESPA last month, but would like to see and feel apparels and talk to pros. So FESPA was the largest one. And I think, like, for the most part, the trade show circuit in Europe has ended. I did have the luxury of being out with our STAHLS UK team at Printwear and Promo Live, which was in Birmingham in February. So Birmingham, UK, right in the middle of the country. And I was out there with the STAHLS UK team, which is essentially everything that Transfer Express and STAHLS has, but just across the pond in the UK and Ireland. So there may be some more smaller ones, but I think the big ones are over for this year. There's really nothing like FESPA, though, in Europe. That's definitely a big one. You saw the best. Let's see, honestly, from folks at customer service to artists to resolution department, each encounter we've had with Transfer Express has been amazing. See you in Charlotte. And Stephanie, thank you so much for the kind words, and we are always happy to help here for you. Always good stuff, Brian. And what's the best trade show to go to? Oh, this is going to be the last question of the day, because that is one of the best. Man, the best trade show to go to. I have so many different favorites. Any Impressions Expo. I really love the Impressions Expos. I have not missed an Impressions Expo since the pandemic. I think I've been at everyone since the pandemic. And Printing United. Printing United is a humongous show. But the one thing that I absolutely love about Impressions is that the quality of speakers that they have is like it's almost, if you just went and didn't even go to the trade show, like didn't even go to the Expo 4 and you just hung out, man, that's the way to go. But I'm going to sign off. I absolutely adore you guys for hanging out, and I'm here in your corner behind you to help you reach your success, whatever that looks like for you. So until next time, I'm Dave. Happy pressing.